We talk all the time about what you can do to reduce your risk of tearing during birth, but we never talk about what we do if you tore during birth and how you recover from this. So, this episode, we're going to talk about if you tore during birth, what you can do, and some things to keep in mind. We talk all the time about what you can do to reduce your risk of tearing during birth, but we never talk about what we do if you tore during birth and how you recover from this. So, this episode, we're going to talk about if you tore during birth, what you can do, and some things to keep in mind. You are listening to Belly Birth Beyond with Pelvic Floor Mama, hosted by Becca Boeving, a PTA, mom of two, and now your go-to pelvic floor coach. Welcome to the safe space where no topics of motherhood are off limits and judgment is left at the door. Too many mamas are dismissed when they've got valid concerns. If you're sick of hearing that's normal when it feels otherwise, keep listening. I think one of the biggest things to keep in mind is you don't push through pain. Don't push through pain. I think a lot of times we're told to push through it, but just find places and things that are comfortable for you to sit when you move, those types of things, okay? Don't push through the pain. Taller toilet seats. I know it sounds so crazy, but sometimes getting a taller toilet seat can help because depending on how low your seat is, because that sitting all the way down can pull, especially if you have stitches, can pull through there and it can be really uncomfortable and painful. You're gonna want the perineal bottle. You're gonna want it. Help spray it, help clean it out. You're going to want like warm water is going to feel good for you. That is what you're going to want. And warm water is actually going to help. A lot of times we go straight to cold, and there's some research going around. Haven't seen a lot that's like real strong and convicting, but there's some research going around about how we put like cold packs down there, but we're trying to heal and recover. And like in a way, we want that blood flow to help support like that healing process from taking place. So there's some like pros and cons to ice and cold. So pay attention to what feels best for you. Maybe early days, it feels really good for the cold, and that helps you feel a little bit better. But then that warm water is going to help, that warm perineal bottle, to help keep things clean and instead of wiping. Okay. Taller toilet seats can help as well. Okay. I am got the sniffles over here today. Postpartum leggings instead of belly binders. I hope you hear me talk about it all the dang time. Postpartum leggings are providing support from the bottom up. Belly binders are like squeezing you and then everything's coming down. So by having like postpartum leggings that go for the bottom up, it can really help create that compression and the support that you need without compromising your pelvic floor. Especially if you don't have that support through your pelvic floor throughout, like when you're standing, when you're like, if you don't know how to do that or your body's not ready, excuse me. Postpartum leggings can be really helpful. I'm sure you've heard me talk all the time about using postpartum leggings opposed to belly binders. Belly binders squeeze you and everything kind of comes down. Postpartum leggings help support you from the bottom up. So postpartum leggings can help give that pelvic floor a little support instead of compromising the pelvic floor by having all that pressure from a belly binder. So postpartum leggings could be a good alternative to having a belly binder if you're wanting to have that added compression and support, especially if you're not quite to the point where you're able to support your body with everything that you're doing throughout the day, right? Like you're still standing up from the couch, you're still picking up your baby, you're probably still walking down the stairs and doing things like that. So breathing, having that support of your pelvic floor can be helpful with the leggings, but then knowing how to just like gently breathe out, engage your core and your pelvic floor, and then stand and then do these things. Because every time you stand up and every time you lift something or go up the stairs, you're allowing like a lot of pressure to come down. And we want to make sure that we're helping to support everything as you're healing and recovering. When you tear, depending on how significant your tear is, will depend on how long it takes to heal and recover. And we're never like supporting those early days when those stitches are still there, you're still healing. Supporting your body throughout those early days can help limit like prolapse. So having anything like kind of fall into the vaginal canal, it can help with leaking or peeing when you don't want to. And having any of those types of like pelvic floor problems later on. And so those early days, like so often moms are like, oh, just 6 weeks, wait, I'll go get checked up, everything will be healed and back to normal. But during those 6 weeks, there's so many little things that you can do to help support your recovery and your healing to limit those big things that take place later. And you're not taught that. And that's so frustrating that that's not something that's taught. It's not something that's done. And we just need to do better about helping to support you through there. So that way, as you're transitioning into motherhood, whether it's the first or the fifth time, like you know what you can do to help support yourself. And so you can actually enjoy that time instead of wondering, like, is this normal? What's wrong with me? When is this going to be back to normal? When am I going to feel like myself again? When am I going to be able to do this without having the pain or the leak? Like, there's all these questions that are going in. And so just having a little bit more of that help and that support and understanding early on can really help you long term and later on down the road. So keep in mind, if you had a significant tear, you're gonna want to support yourself through those early days because your pelvic floor is compromised. Like everything's healing and recovering. So often we think, oh, we gave birth vaginally and our vagina's never going to be the same and we're like loose and all these problems, but that's actually not true. A lot of times your pelvic floor is tight and tense, and that tightness and the tension adds pain, discomfort. It's why a lot of times it's why leaking and things like that take place. So a lot of providers are like, okay, now it's time to start doing your Kegels now that you're 6 weeks. And it's like, I don't even use the terminology Kegels. If you've been around, you know this. We need to teach your pelvic floor how to contract, but we need to more importantly teach your pelvic floor how to be able to relax. And sometimes your pelvic floor is stuck in that state of contraction because of something else going on and around. Like your core is weak, which after having a baby, your core is like the most humbling experience I think I've ever experienced. And so many moms agree. There's not a lot of support with your core. And so your pelvic floor has to make up the slack, quote unquote, right? Your glutes aren't working how we want to. So we need to be able to support your body and find out why your pelvic floor is tight and how to support it instead of just teaching you to relax. So these are some things that you can do early on in those times. This is what the postpartum mama recovery reset is. It's helping you through reconnecting with your body and utilizing being able to use your core and your pelvic floor and like support you through those early days. That's like the point of I have the postpartum package. That's the point of that is the education piece throughout the postpartum program of like, this is how you support your body with daily activities. This is the basics of your pelvic floor and things like that. And then the videos that you follow that are like 7 minutes 4 times a week. And it just slowly progresses until you are able to do a little bit more and you're feeling a little bit stronger and having a lot less pain and things like that. The other thing that we're like never taught is scar massage, especially if you tore and you have like stitches. You want to do like, it's kind of like a perineal massage, like you would have done to prevent tearing. But you want to do that to the scar tissue because the scar tissue is going to be a different like texture, different density. It can stick or adhere to the healthy tissue. And we don't want that. We want the scar tissue to be its own moving piece on it without sticking to any of the healthy tissue beneath. So a gentle like scar massage can be really helpful. Something I walk you through and teach you in the postpartum program. Something that you can go and see pelvic floor specialists near you and have that support before your 6 weeks, especially if you tore, especially if you had a significant tear. Getting that help earlier is going to help support you in the longer run. Waiting those 6 weeks is like, I want to knock my head against the wall. There's so many different things we can do to support you throughout those early days where you don't have to feel like this for so long. And a lot of times when we just wait 6 weeks, you're struggling to get through, you're adjusting with the newborn, you're figuring out sleep schedules and feeding and just new routines. And like, there isn't a routine. Like everything is just up in the air. Every day is a new day and it's different and it's challenging. And so when you're adding on all this, like, what's going on with my body and how can I help it? Like, it's just a lot for you to take on. And so I love preparing for postpartum, helping you prepare for postpartum before it even comes to that. So that way, when your baby's here, you have an idea of what you can do and what can help support you without even having to add anything extra to your day. Like I said, you're standing up, you're bending over, you're picking up the baby, a car seat, a diaper bag, walking up and down the stairs, all of those things, just teaching you how to do it the right way, where you have the support of your pelvic floor and your core, and like that reconnection of your body can help limit the pain and the leaking and the discomfort and all of that comes later on. So it can be better. If you're recovering from a tear, it's okay. There's things that we can do to have you feel good in your body again. There's things we can do to have you find pleasure in sex again. There's things we can do to have you be able to have painless days, or painless use the bathroom without pain, or be able to, all these other things that like we don't necessarily think about, but all of a sudden you're struggling with. And it's okay. You're not alone through this. You did nothing wrong if you tore. It sometimes happens. And as someone who had a very, very, very significant tear with my VBAC, it can be challenging to navigate, but you don't have to navigate it alone. And when you have the help and the support to help you navigate it, it makes recovery so much easier. And it makes you feel so much better in your body without having the fear and the pain and like the frustration. Okay. All the resources are going to be linked in the show note if you want any more help or support. You can also send me an email at info@pelvicfloormama.com and we can chat about it, or hop on Instagram, send me a DM and we can talk back and forth. You deserve to be supported and helped throughout this time. And I think that's really important. And that's one of the reasons why we're here, bridging this gap between what is your pelvic floor and what you can start doing so you can feel good in your body as you go through motherhood. First time, fifth time, you deserve to feel like your best self as you are welcoming these babies into the world. And I don't just mean now, I mean even when they're like running around on the playground and you're sitting there, you should be able to sit there and enjoy yourself instead of still having the back pain and the pelvic pain, and you still pee yourself when you jump on the trampoline or when you try to run. Like it doesn't have to be that way. It does not have to be that way. Let's end that stigma and start helping and supporting you like we should have done from the beginning. And I'm thinking of you, Mama, and I'm sending you so much love. Nothing is TMI when it comes to motherhood, and common doesn't necessarily mean normal. Always trust your gut and never stop advocating for the care you deserve. If you enjoyed this podcast, help it reach more mamas like you by subscribing and leaving a review on your preferred listening platform. Keep in touch with me on Instagram by following Pelvic Floor Mama. See you next time.